Yes. That's the green bit where. Right, that's decide whether to do the GLP Zoom in a smart shirt and boxes. So I decided to put my lounge pants on. So yeah, no, it's halfway decent. Hopefully nothing happens. And anyway, I don't know what's going to happen. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. Right, good. Later, bye.
Hi, Richard. Mm. Hi, Richard.
Oh yeah, I think there we go. My camera's turned on there. Great. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good.
Can we just see if you can share your screen?
Mm-hmm. Is my background blurry?
Yep.
Great. Good. So how do I do that? How do I share the screen?
So at the top of your
got share.
bit, click on share,
Mm-hmm.
and then share a window. Oh, hang on. Before you do that, have you opened up the PowerPoint?
No.
Okay, so you open up the PowerPoint first.
Okay, there's a problem there because it's
saved.
It's saved. It's saved on my school system.
Right,
and I'm logging on. I'm at home. I'm logging on via my laptop as opposed to via the school system. That's not a problem. All I need to do is, it'll take me a couple of minutes. I just need to email it to myself.
I can do that to you now very quickly and easily.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah, do that. Email it to me.
What email though? Actually,
I still use head at. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's quite funny because we just all have so many different ways of accessing the internet, and sometimes not.
Yeah.
Can you see me as a matter of interest, or has my picture turned off?
I'm just attaching the file, and then
I see. Okay.
Come back to you. So I'm just not.
Okay.
I'm just not looking at the moment.
That's fine. Yeah.
Let me get to the right place. Okay, I've sent that. Now let's see if I can see you. So yes, I can see you.
Oh, great. That's good to know, because I haven't, on my laptop, I haven't got my picture zoom up. I've got my email up, so I can wait for this thing to come in. Oh, there we go. Right. Right. Download. Right, I'm just going to save it onto my machine just in case something happens. Oh. Right, I think we're almost good to go. Right. Okay, I'm going to come back up there. Yeah. What do I do now then? So I've got it open on my screen.
So now you go to your Teams meeting.
Mm-hmm. Screen
and
window.
Click on you click on the share, and then you choose window, and it will give you all of the windows that you've got open, and you choose the one that says work of the GLP. final.
That's it, is it?
And that's it. But what you now need to do is set it as a slideshow, because what we can do is we can see the whole of your the whole of that screen. So if you set it as a,
can you see it as a slideshow now?
no.
Oh, okay. It's a slideshow on mine.
Right. Okay. So exit, stop sharing.
Right.
Is it still open as a slideshow? You have stopped sharing.
Okay.
Have you still got it open as a slideshow somewhere?
2 secs. No, it's not open at all now. I've shut it down.
So if you open it up, start it as a slideshow, and then that is the window that you have to share.
Okay. 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 But if so I get that, that's fine. Sharing it from the beginning, but then now my whole screen is taken up with the presentation, and I can't get back to you. Do you understand?
I do understand, and I'm just thinking about how we manage that. Can you escape full screen without escaping the presentation?
So if I press escape, it goes back to the, oops, what's going on here? So if I press escape, it goes back to all the slides being visible on the left-hand side.
Yeah. Right. Chat amongst yourselves. I will work out how to do this.
Hello, both.
Ah, hang on.
Hello.
Hello. I have just found something which says present in Teams. You're about to present.
Okay.
PowerPoint live. This is me just trialing it.
Yep.
So what can you see on your screen?
Title. I can see the title slide.
Yeah. So
can you see something that says no notes?
Yeah, but there are no notes there. And if I press forward, I'm pressing forward through it. And are you seeing it go through?
Yeah. So at my end, now you've gone back to the title.
Yep.
And then yes, you had moved forward a slide previously. I can't see I can't see any notes, but I can't see anything that says no notes either.
That's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to stop presenting, although I don't know how to stop presenting. How do I stop presenting?
Could we leave it as it is? Because then obviously whoever's talking, they'll have a slightly smaller picture, and then the screen is showing.
That will just mean me moving the slides along, because when you moved it, you can't move it along.
Well,
there's a button at the top. There's a button at the top that says take control.
Oh,
I've never used
take control.
I've never used that, but if Richard tried to take control,
yeah,
it might
but what I was trying to say there is so this is moving for me. Are you seeing? Is everyone else seeing it moving?
No.
Try again. Do it again.
Have you taken control?
No, but I'm okay. No, I'll take control.
Yeah, Richard Catchpole. I can see your name down in the bottom. Now see if you can move a slide.
Down
at the, yes.
Yes.
But are you guys seeing just the main picture, or are you seeing the notes and the up?
Just the main picture.
No notes. Yeah.
Because that's interesting, because I can see the main picture, and underneath, horizontally, I've got all the coming up slides.
Yeah, and that's what I had, Richard,
Okay.
And that's
before
what,
you took control.
and that's
Great.
what you have in Teams when you have control. So
Well, there you go.
Cool.
I didn't know that. Learned something new.
there we go.
And
Hello,
interestingly,
Victoria. Good to see you here, or not see you here even.
There's also various pens and things as well. So
Oh
if I
yeah,
wanted to, I could
you
circle
only,
stuff.
yeah.
But I won't do that.
These are all the things you get when you are in control, which nobody else can see. Nobody else can see, only you.
So you can draw on your own work, Richard, if you want to.
Oh, give yourself a big tick.
Yeah.
Good.
This is what I have to live.
That's brilliant. Thank you for joining
This is what I
early
have
to
to.
do that.
This is what I have to live with most days of the week. These TikToks.
Yeah.
But I have never tried or got anybody else to try the take control button before, so we've learned something there.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
It's a bit worrying, actually. Somebody could just seize your presentation.
Well, it only works, I believe, if you have the right authorities on. And
right.
because of the way I set this meeting up, I had to extend the authority to anybody in the meeting, which is not something I would like to do.
No.
But I set it up. I set the first meeting up wrong, really.
Okay. But in the event,
So
it's been useful. In the event, it's helped us.
Yep.
Now.
Yes.
So can I just confirm then? So the screen that you can see says a year of continuing success.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
School.
Great.
Yeah. Now it's training program.
Okay, cool. Great, that's fine.
It's all working. It's all
the
working.
only drawback for me about that, and that's fine, is the writing is quite small.
Yes. Well, you've got more to get on your screen.
Yeah, that's fine. Not a problem though. That's fine.
If you would prefer me to do it though, Richard, I will do it.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. It's not a problem. And then when we get to school and GLP organisation, I'm going to hand on to Andrew.
Okay.
Is that right? I think.
Yeah.
He's available if you want him. You don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what we talked about this morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But whatever you want to do, Richard.
Great. Thank you.
So when the meeting starts, I will turn off my camera and my sound because I'm going to be taking notes.
Okay.
But you are welcome to call on me and I will unmute and whatever.
Just
you need.
You know, we were talking about this morning, the question that's been submitted, and I think we've talked about how we're going to do that. What I'm going to do, Rachel, is first of all, I'll say we've had one. Can you just repeat what the question is? I know not the whole thing, because obviously it was a bit of a long,
it's very wordy,
but just
yes.
the essence of the question. So we'll all hear that. And then, as I've arranged with Richard this morning, I'll then ask him as chair of the head teachers committee to summarise what the partnership, what the board has resolved on this in terms of issuing guidance and not being prescriptive.
Yeah, I mean, and it's fortuitous that the question came in before the board meeting and we were able to talk about it then.
Yeah, good timing. Good timing. Okay. Hello, Andrew. I think you're muted. I can see your. Oh, there you go. You're unmuted now.
Yeah, I said it's not like me to be quiet. Right. Have I got to make sure my name is right, Rachel?
Yes, please.
How do you do that?
Well, it is. It says Andrew Smith.
You are. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
Who did you think you were?
Yeah, I'm never quite sure.
No.
You could have been Penny.
One day recently on one of my sessions for my day job, I was up as my daughter Rachel.
Oh yes.
Because she'd been using my Teams the night before and had changed the name and hadn't changed back. It was fine. People thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's light-hearted, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say is I'm going to be monitoring the chat in
Oh,
case
yes.
questions come up through the chat.
Okay.
And I will stick up my hand if I need to interrupt you.
Okay.
And the meeting's being recorded.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. They've been told in advance,
Okay.
but in case you want to remind them.
I'll do that.
I'm going to have a mad rush at 17:30.
I know. That's the way it always happens. Big difference to last year when we're having to keep moving between
Yeah.
seats. You remember
Yeah,
that? It worked
it is
really well.
definitely easier like this.
Yeah. But yeah, it worked okay, didn't it? It's quite good fun, really. Who's next in
And
front
also,
of the...
go on.
I was just to say, who's next in front of the camera?
Yes. Just for your information, Michael, I dropped the chocolates for Tom off
right.
at Farncombe.
Excellent, thank you. It was
I didn't speak to anybody, sadly. There was nobody there in reception, and I waited for a bit. And
well, his name was on the label, so
yeah,
it's okay. It was a bigger box than I thought it was, unless it's got lots of padding in it or something.
Yeah, well, I think they're quite good with padding, Moonpig.
Yes. Yeah, it's great service. I was a bit anxious about delivery because things don't always work out, do they? But
No.
obviously both the deliveries came through as
Yeah, it was
as
lovely.
ordered. Yeah. And obviously with schools, you have to. I always go for the slightly more expensive delivery, like at the junior school, because of if it's after 3:30, 4 o'clock, it's could be difficult.
It's a disaster.
Yeah.
Disaster.
Here's Mike, I can see.
Hello, hello.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, Mike.
Hello, Mike.
How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Fine, thanks.
We
That's
managed to
you.
get some feedback.
Yes,
How
it was a
did the
bit.
service go, Hugh?
Yeah, like it always does, really. It's
Okay.
organised chaos, lots of free pencils, and yeah, saw Richard there as well.
Yeah, good fun, enjoyable.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah,
That's the usual chaos.
Who takes it? Who's runs the service? Oh.
Alex Tier with a new bishop Paul,
Okay.
who with quite a surreal moment in his, I don't know whether they call it a cassock anyway, his big purple robe and his RNLI lifeboat helmet.
Oh, really? Wow.
Bit of a strange combo.
Yeah.
Yep. Whatever
Yeah,
takes your fancy.
I know. I just feel for them a bit, really, because the sound in there is awful.
It is, isn't it?
They have to speak so slowly for, you can't express yourself properly, and you've got however many thousand children sitting there.
And then cathedral.
At the cathedral, yeah. And then they have these two songs which really need piano or guitar, but they played them on the organ, so it's just a muddy mess.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, I think the kids got something out of it. I think it makes them realise it's important
Yes, I think
what
so
they're doing,
too.
and they're not the only ones because they see everybody else. So yeah, it's good.
Okay, sounds good.
Tick done.
Hello, Louise.
Do you just go to the one service?
Oh no, I go to them all. I love them.
Hello again.
Just one. Yeah.
If they gave tea and biscuits, I might go to a few more.
Yeah, there's not much in the way of refreshments, and it's always the timing's always difficult, isn't it? Because we're always sort of a 12:30 start, which means you have lunch at 11:30 or something.
So what other ones are there? You mean there are ones for other year groups, or
Not other year groups, but other schools. There are just so many children,
do
they
it
can't
by
all fit
area.
into one.
Oh, I see. Right.
The
Yeah,
83 schools in the diocese, I think.
yeah.
And there were probably either 10, 15 schools there today.
Yeah.
10. So, yeah.
I think we have got everybody here.
Okay.
So we can start.
Okay, then we shall start, and it is 5:30, so off we go. Well, good evening or afternoon, as if you prefer, everybody. I'm Michael Guest, chairman of the board of the Godalming Learning Partnership, and everybody's welcome. Whether member schools, educational partner schools, representatives from our strategic partner organisations, and also people from the stakeholder constituencies as well who have an interest in the work of the partnership. Welcome one and all. We also have with us, or should have with us, 3 CEOs from 3 multi-academy trusts. Matthew Rickson from the diocese, sorry, John Mills from Tamat, Mike Boddington, who I have seen here from Enlighten, and Paul Kennedy from the Good Shepherd Trust. And I've just mentioned Matthew Rickson from the Diocese Education as well. So welcome one and all. If I've missed anybody out, I do apologise. Welcome to you too. Can I just ask Rachel, as our clerk, then, if we have any apologies for absence that have been submitted?
We've had apologies from Jack Mayhew, who was already committed to another meeting before he got our invitation, and Steve Williams, who is councillor for the local area, and he's particularly interested in working with the Godalming Learning Partnership, but he's unable to make the meeting.
Okay, thanks very much. Just a reminder as well, I know it's been checked out in advance, but the meeting is being recorded, and by arriving you have given your consent. Sounds very formal, doesn't it? But something we have to mention. Okay, any declarations of interest on any of the agenda items? No. Okay, thank you very much. Right, you've all had the annual report. So the next formal item on our annual general meeting agenda here is just to confirm that you've had the annual report. If by any, I know there's several messages have gone out with it, so you should have done. If for any reason you've not, then do let Rachel know and we can send it out. But if we could just formally confirm receipt of the report for this meeting. Anybody would just like to put their hand up or give me an agreement, that's great. Okay, thank you very much. I'm not going to say too much about that because that's going to be stealing thunder from colleagues who have things to say on that. So speaking of which, then we'll move on. We'll now have a presentation on the work of the Trust in the past year that we're now reporting on at this annual general meeting. It's going to be led by Richard Catchpole in his capacity as chair of the Head Teachers Committee of the Trust. So over to you, Richard.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Michael. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see everyone here. So you obviously hopefully had a chance to have a look at the annual report. So a lot of what I'm going to be just briefly going through is included in there. The last couple of slides just talk a little bit about some of our future plans. And as we go a little bit way through, I'm going to ask Andrew to just jump in and talk about a particular aspect of our GLP work. So as you can see on this next slide, 23-24 has been a year of continuing success, also a year of change for the GLP, because we've changed some of the structure, some of the management and leadership structure of the GLP, and that's been something which has been very successful. So in terms of some of the developmental work we've been doing, we've carried on having our school support strategy. So that's where our individual schools from the GLP get support from SAFE school advisors. We have a health check once a year, and we also buy some extra support hours from SAFE as well, which schools can dip into either off the back of the health checks or just off the back of various school initiatives which they are currently partaking in. And those particular health checks are on top of the safe KSNA visits, and we've just really enjoyed the opportunity to have extra professionals coming in and just running their eyes over and having professional conversations with us around our schools. In a sense, you can never have too many people coming in because everyone has a different view, and everyone, whenever you're talking about one school to people, it's always good to help yourself to just question what you're doing and present your school in a certain way. So some of the other things we've been doing, we've been developing some of our leaders, our subject leaders in our schools. So this is the second year of our subject leader program. So this year we in some inset days, we spent some time looking at modern foreign languages, computing, early years, and geography. So basically what happened there is one of the subject leads from one of the GLP schools took it on board to facilitate a discussion and lead with a small L the sessions which other subject leads from other GLP schools would come along to. So all the computing leads came along together, geography leads, etc., etc. And we had 3 half-day sessions spread throughout the course of the year when we spent some time looking at those subject areas. One of the sessions we also invited some subject experts from Winchester University, and they joined by teams and just gave their view on excellence in that particular subject area. So that's the second year of doing that. It's been really successful. The first year we had a different set of subjects. The subjects which we looked at this year is on the screen, and then next year we have another set of 3 or 4 subjects which we're looking at. So alongside those things, we've also had our GLP training program, which we've put in place. So that's, as it says on the screen, £25,000 worth of training, which we've made accessible to all our GLP schools. And that has really benefited every staff member from all categories of staff, and that in turn obviously then goes to benefit all of our children on a day-to-day basis. We've also developed further our health and wellbeing initiative for all our staff. I think that's something which, as a GLP, we feel that we're very strong at. We take it very seriously, obviously, as I'm sure all schools do, to make sure that we are looking after our staff, because they are such a huge, vital part of what we do. And one of the things which we've introduced this year is we introduced a head teacher wellbeing and reflection day, which was very well received. And I would just like to make a big thank you to Charterhouse School for allowing us to use their facilities for the day, which just really added to the excellence of that particular day. And then another important developmental part of what we've been up to this year is preparing for the changes to the School Direct teacher training. So since September 23, really, we've just been kind of working on some ways in which we need to modify our offer as the DFE have changed the school-led teacher training. And then September 24 is going to come around very soon, and we're good to go with what we need to have in place for that. Right, in terms of school and GLP organisation, Andrew, would you like to jump in here, please? The first one.
Thanks, Richard. I turned myself off so I didn't say anything in the wrong place. We've spent the year exploring whether the GLP could join another multi-academy trust as a hub of schools. So continue working together closely as a local group of schools, but within an existing multi-academy trust. And as the years progressed, we started wanting to know which multi-academy trusts we could join. And because we're a mixture of church and non-faith schools, we had to be compliant with the church's regulations on which multi-academy trust church schools could join. Those rules changed last autumn, and so we had to look at those and then talk to the MATs in our area to see whether our group of schools were able to join their multi-academy trust. We identified 4, and we've spent further parts of the year meeting with the CEOs of those 4 MATs, 3 of which are in the meeting tonight, and 4 would have been if he could have been. The 4th would have been. And we've had meetings with them, and those meetings have been with head teachers and representatives from each of the GLP schools. And the idea of that was to look at those 4 multi-academy trusts and see whether any of them were the kind of multi-academy trusts that the GLP wanted to join. Each multi-academy trust is different, has different ethos, different way of working. It's a different size, it's a different makeup. So all those things we've looked at over the last year to see which ones suited the GLP best. Now that all sounds as if the GLP is, absolutely going to join one of these multi-academy trusts. That isn't the case, but it is a strong line of inquiry that GLPs are undertaking at the moment. Each of the individual schools are undergoing their own due diligence with regard to joining multi-academy trusts, but the GLP is now looking at what they've found out from meeting with these 4 MATs and will now sort of put in place the next course of action for the coming months.
Lovely.
That's about it, Richard.
Perfect, Andrew. Thank you very much. Thank you. Super. Okay, so also on the school and GLP organisation, just number 3 there, the introduction of the new GLP management team and structure. So prior to this academic year, it was pretty much all down to Andrew and Rachel Clark, but we kind of broadened out, and there's a team of us head teachers who take on a different aspect and lead a different aspect of the work of the GLP, and we're going to carry on with that structure going into the new year. Okay, in terms of our training program, there's a little bit of repetition here, apologies. So there's sort of 3 main areas really in which we think about our training program. So the first area is the safe health checks. So as I mentioned earlier, that's delivered by some safe advisors, and because there's a number of us who are wanting to have those safe checks, those health checks, we've been able to get a good price on those. That makes it effective for us. And at the end of the year, at the end of all the health checks, we've received a report, kind of pulling on some of the areas which we want to maybe look at sort of in the coming year. Next area is the foundation subject lead training. So again, something which we just very, very quickly touched on. I think one of the really good things about this is it does mean that we're helping to develop leadership skills of some of our middle leaders, and helping to just give a little bit more responsibility to some of those sometimes relatively young teachers in a very sort of safe environment. And also it's just it's just really lovely and really helpful for those other subject leads to get together and talk to their peers in other schools. And certainly the teachers who participated at Bosbridge found it very, very useful, and I know that's mirrored across all the schools. But it wasn't necessarily just a talking shop. So as I said, we did have an expert from Winchester University who came along to lead a session to give some input. And by the end, each of the subject leads from each of the individual schools wrote a report, an impact report, and as that's been presented to their SLTs, and that will then feed into the school improvement plans of those schools going forward. So in terms of our general training requirements, there's been just a very broad level of training which we also fund and provide in our GLP schools. So, for example, we enable schools to have a safeguarding audit if they are within a certain window before Ofsted. We've also had we've rerun this year a very well received Senko session, SEND session for our teaching assistants, where all the teaching assistants from all the GLP schools come in to one school. And once again, it's also about empowering some of our existing staff. So some of our Senkos, I think about 4 of them, they prepared a particular presentation and about a particular aspect of a SEN intervention, and then they presented that, and then the LSAs went in a kind of a round robin to hear what they had to say. And once again, just meeting others and just having a chance to talk to others in the same role. Again, really well received, and some very clear benefits from individual schools coming out of those sessions. A lot of really good practice shared and taken back. Our senior and middle leader training. That's again carried on, and we'll be carrying on that next year. Certainly, for example, in our school, we've had about 4 of our middle leaders who've been trained over the last few years, and you can really see the impact which this particular year's training has on their ability to carry on in that role and to take on more responsibilities. So other training requirements we've met, for example, have been our training of ELSAs, training of HLTAs and homeschooling worker training, and then first aid, whether it be pediatric first aid or emergency first aid at school. So hopefully you can see there's a very wide and a broad spread of training which we provide. So in addition to our normal program, there's other aspects of training and input which we also do. So our improvement through peer review scheme, IPRs. So that's where each term 3 or 4 head teachers from the GLP will meet with a host head teacher in their school, and the host head teacher will have a particular line of inquiry, a line of investigation for the peers to investigate and have a look at and to challenge. And again, it's something which all of us as heads can point to just some really important and useful and constructive feedback which has come out of that. Having a sort of a set of eyes from a fellow professional who you respect, but also with the kind of the sense of sort of judgment not necessarily being there. So that sense actually that you can just be fully open. Clearly, we're really fully open with our safe colleagues, but you can be even more fully open with your fellow heads as you talk about some of the issues which you're all kind of facing. We also have assessment and moderation sessions just to ensure that we're all kind of keeping in line there, and again learning off each other. And this year we developed that a bit further by having an expert in writing coming along to help us with our writing moderation. So as part of our mental health, we also have a well-established resilience training set up over the course of the year. So our ECTs, ECT plus ones are invited to join termly resilience sessions with an external advisor, just to talk about how they're going to get through and how they're going to make sure they can do this job that they love for a longer period of time. And then the last thing, a few years ago, we did a lot of work on talk for writing as a GLP, and we were very much aware we didn't want that just to fade away. So a lot of that really excellent work, which is embedded in our schools. We've also provided some catch-up sessions for new staff, so that it's not necessarily down to each individual literacy lead, English lead to train their new member of staff around talk for writing. If we get everyone together, then it's just a little bit more of a kind of a more coherent and more effective way of disseminating the talk for writing model to new people who've joined. So that's something else we do with that is safeguarding, for example. So every school has their safeguarding session in September at the start of the school year. But obviously, as new members of staff start, as you go through the school year, you need to induct them. There's a number of different ways of doing that. one of the things which we do is we set aside various sessions at the beginning of each term and half term, where if there's any new member of staff, they can all go to X school, and X DSL in that school will present the information, the training for new members of staff on safeguarding. So again, it just saves repeating it so many times in our individual schools. So another area we looked at is mental health and well-being of staff. So as part of the work, all our GLP schools do an in-school staff audit, and then there's an action plan which comes out of that. We look to ring fence some inset times, which we will specifically use for looking at our mental health and well-being of staff. And if you spoke to each individual head teacher, there'll be all sorts of little ways in which their school has really kind of grasped this opportunity in this time and made use of it, which is a really good thing to see the variety of different ways of supporting their staff in the GLP. So we've already touched on this as well. So this has been a big part of what we've been doing, our MAT investigations. I won't hand back to Andrew on that because we've already talked about that. So in terms of going forward, some of our future plans really for 24-25. So for various reasons, this particular year, we've decided to streamline some of our GLP training program. We've got a slightly reduced training program. Often that really is by reducing the number of sessions on a particular theme which we run, rather than reducing some of the training at all. We have our third year of the subject leader development. So it says plan for year. Yeah. So we've got the third year of our subject leader development, and also we're also this year we're planning what we do next year, because we don't want to go back to year one and redo those subjects. So one of the things which we're looking at in the next bullet point is thinking about how we can incorporate some of the philosophy for children, philosophical questioning into our schools, so it sits within our current school ethos and our current school plans. We know that Chandler is a real guiding, shining light on this, not just in the GLP but nationally, and it's good just to be able to grasp some of their excellence in this, but also recognizing that different schools want to embrace it to a different level, but actually there's a lot that we can all learn, a lot that we can all do in this particular area. Primary sports, that's something which kind of just carries on year after year, but we got to the point where we're just wanting to kind of tweak it a little bit. So we've been talking to our secondary school colleagues who help us to run some of these sports events, just to make sure what's happening in 24-25 is maybe a little bit more focused on what is going to be more effective. And then a big part of what we're going to be doing is launching our Get Teaching, our school-led PGC program, and there's a lot of work, as I mentioned, has gone into the planning of that, so that's all good to go from September, and that's being led by the head at Milford School, Sarah Cox. So thank you, Sarah, for becoming our lead mentor there and taking that on. The next two bullet points really is just to say that we're in our second year of our new GLP management system. So we all kind of hopefully know what we're doing as we go into the second year. And then the final aspect there, it says about exploration of the GLP joining a MAT as a hub, and that's an ongoing piece of work which Andrew referred to. So pretty much that's the year there really. So I'm going to flick on to the next slide, which I think probably says any questions. So if anyone does have any questions, are we at that particular point now, Michael, for questions?
Yes, indeed. Yes, we have a question and answer session at the end of the agenda, but if there's anything that's in particular on what we've just heard, now's an opportunity whilst it's fresh in the mind. So yes, anybody got any questions on the presentation that we've just heard? Doesn't sound like it. We have the session at the end in any event. So thank you for that overview on what has been yet another very successful and very busy year from the partnership. So thank you for the summary of that. Okay, moving along then. On the matter of finance and reporting on the financial position and the accounts for the past year as well. They are in the annual reports, which you've had, page 14 onwards. But Louise, as our finance officer, would you just like to give us the headlines on the financial position in the last year?
I can't
You're
hear you
on
there,
mute,
Louise.
Louise.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah, loud and clear, loud and clear.
Technical issues. Okay, I don't know whether you have access to this on screen if Rachel's got it, but I'm just going to do a quick run through. You've had the information anyway in the annual report.
Yeah.
So we have had the account. Oh, thank you. If we could just go down 2 pages, please, Rachel. Yeah.
That one?
Sorry, no, up one. Sorry, up one. To the balance sheet. Perfect.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we had the account signed off at the board meeting this morning. We continue as, we're a limited company, but we continue as a micro entity. So we just have to file abbreviated balance sheet with Companies House. So just to give a brief overview here, we've got our current assets. So our cash at bank is just under 78,000. We have our creditors, which amounts to 3 suppliers, and their accruals that we had at the end of the year amounting to 39,000. We have our net profit at the end of the year of 5,500. Most of our funding comes from contributions from our local schools in way of collaboration funding, but also sports premium funding that helps to fund our SSCO program that we have. And we also receive funding from the School Direct program that we have running. So we ended up with a 5,500 net profit at the end of the year, which takes our retained earnings to 39,000 going forwards, which we have planned to put towards the training program going forwards. And that's me really.
Okay, thank you very much. I should mention that Louise has been our finance officer since the inception of the partnership and has played a major part in its creation and its successful operation since, but very sadly is standing down from that role as from the end of this school year, or 31st of August, I think, technically speaking. So just to record our thanks, Louise. I know we said that at the board meeting this morning, but I'll say it now for the annual meeting as well. Thank you so much for what you've done. Been absolutely top professional on the finance side and wider as well, wider on the thinking and the planning of the partnership. And we're going to miss you.
Thank you.
There is a process of trying to find a successor, but we're certainly going to miss you. So thank you. Any questions on the finance or the accounts? Okay, thank you. Right, next item is just changing membership. Helen Shispanky, head teacher at Whitley Infants, has become a trustee during the course of the last year that this is covering. Helen's actually been involved with the partnership for much longer than that. It just the paperwork just takes so long to go through that technically it falls within this year. So it seems a strange thing to say, Helen, to say welcome to you, but welcome legally, technically, whatever the expression is. So that's the only appointment of a new trustee that we've had in the period that this meeting covers. Okay, so that does bring us to the dedicated question and answer session, should there be any. We have at least got one, because people were invited to send one in advance if they wish to. We've had one from a parent who actually can't make the meeting today, so we'll share that now and a response to it as well. So Rachel, if you could just summarise the question.
Yes, it was a question about the mental health impact of smartphones on young people and young adults, and whether the GLP could take collective action to address this. And looking at whether phones should be banned up to the age of 14, that a focus should be on encouraging children's understanding of how to play without using a smartphone.
Yeah.
But that's
Okay.
what actions will the GLP take as a collective do to address this growing issue?
Okay, that was the question. Okay, now the board have discussed this, and I'll just ask Richard, as chair of the head teachers group, to give us a summary of the response.
Lovely, thank you. So, so really, the GLP schools do quite a lot in this particular regard. We all have our e-safety lessons, and we have our e-safety plans. We have a lot of time which is spent discussing various issues that might arise through the kind of some of the fallout and the disagreements that might happen via social media. Certainly, when you get into year 5 and 6, I wouldn't like to sort of put a frequency on it, but every school's a bit different. But certainly every half term, there's going to be something which comes into school from home, which is a very real situation for us to discuss around e-safety and online safety, and talking to children about appropriate use and what have you. So having said that, we don't really feel that it's appropriate for the GLP to kind of step in and take kind of a firm stance and say that children shouldn't have mobile phones by a certain age. Obviously, we're only dealing with children up to the age of 11 when they leave us anyway, and that really is down to the parents to take on that particular decision, take on that responsibility. But there are other things that we do as GLP schools. So we also have our e-safety sessions, which we lead for parents, and every school will be holds one of those each year. And we also are very strong at reminding children and reminding parents what the age limits are for accessing various social media sites like WhatsApp and what have you. Really, there is a lot that we can do to both educate children as they use some of these things, if they're using them a little bit too young sometimes, but also educate them around how to keep themselves safe, how to keep others safe, whilst also giving some good advice to parents about how they can keep their children safe too. But I think in the end, with all that work that we do, it's also the ultimate responsibility of the parents to make that decision as to whether they are able to access smartphones or not.
Okay, thank you. I can see, Christina, you've got your hand up, so over to you.
Hello, my name's Christina. I'm a parent of Imogen Coyle, who's currently at Chandler and used to be in Mrs. Shapansky's class. You were one of her favourite teachers, so lovely to see you. So I'm here to also ask about smartphones, and I'm really alarmed by the data that's coming out with regards to the number of children that get unlimited access to smartphones, social media, and the way that very much correlates with absolutely crashing mental health, suicide, self-harm, grooming. It really scares me. One of the things that I'm noticing amongst the parent peers that I have is there seems to be a lot of social pressure to get a smartphone for their kids, so that they can walk to school and they can be safely tracked, but also because everyone seems to be saying the same thing of like, I don't really want to give my child a smartphone, but if I don't, they'll be the only one who doesn't. I'm here today to ask, and I completely acknowledge your point about what you say about you can educate, and ultimately the responsibility does lie with the parent. But I think you as a partnership have a lot of influence with parents, and if we could collectively advocate and say that we strongly don't recommend having smartphones, but also whether you would be willing to do what some of the other towns have done, like St Albans or Southwark. There have been like collective schools of like 17, 18 schools that have gotten together and have requested that parents sign a pact to collectively decide not to give their children phones or delay giving their children smartphones. And even if, you know, uptake isn't 100%, it might be 20 or 30%. It means that the 20 or 30% of parents that don't want to give their children smartphones feel less pressure because their kids aren't the only ones who don't have a phone. So I would love if that would be something that you'd be open to exploring. I actually have a meeting with Mr. Rawson coming up next week, and I'd love to tell more about it. But I'd love to know if you'd be open to kind of exploring more options to persuade and delay and communicate as a collective on how to help tackle this if possible.
Yeah, that pact idea is an interesting one, isn't it? I hadn't come across that at all. I mean, there's obviously been considerable debate around this nationally because of all the things you just mentioned. You know, obviously it's a national thing. What the partnership's minded to do is to issue what would be really guidance to the schools within the partnership, because it'll be up to the individual schools to set their own policies and practices on this. But obviously, as you rightly say, the partnership can give some guidance, you know, for consistency's sake. Richard, did you want to add to anything I've just said?
No, except I mean, I think you have a meeting with Mr. Rawson is great, and I'm sure because we talk about many things in our head teachers meetings. In fact, one of the standing items we have in our half-term head teachers meetings is safeguarding. So I'm sure Mr. Rawson could feed back to us a little bit when we meet in September, following your conversation, and that would be really good to hear what you shared with him and what he may have to share with the rest of us.
Sure. Yeah, be assured it's a live issue. Absolutely, it's a live issue. I thought I saw somebody else popped up then. Was it anybody else wanted to put a question?
There was something in the chat which I'll be able to read to you. There's a movement that our school has invited in to talk to parents and children called the Smartphone Free Childhood. We had a child psychologist talk to us. I can't remember her name or the charity that she was linked to, but I can find out and feed back through Michael.
Okay. Oh, Becky, it was you.
It was Becky. And Christine has
Hello.
actually just added the link to the smartphonefreechildhood.co.uk in that in the chat, so I can make sure that all of the head teachers have got that.
Absolutely. Okay. The wonder of technology and instant communication. Thank you, Becky, and hello. Any other questions from anybody? No. Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming to our annual general meeting. It's good to see a reasonable turnout. And I just want to give my thanks to everybody who's involved in the partnership, all the things that Richard was talking about that's continued to be achieved this year and with all plans going forward. Thank you to everybody in all their roles, because lots of people contribute to this throughout the partnership. So thank you. And we look forward, of course, to the next successful year, starting now. And
thank you very much.
Okay, and enjoy the rest of the evening, everybody.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good numbers this time.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yes, indeed. PowerPoint all worked well and so on. So, and it's only 8 minutes past 6. So
and we had a repeat of the question already asked, which was a tiny bit irritating, but there you go.
Yeah, well, there we go.
They're determined, aren't they?
Right.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Have a good weekend.
And you too. Okay, I shall talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.